Now, yesterday, the New York Times reported this. Pentagon set up briefing for Musk on potential war with China. The access would be a major expansion of Elon Musk's government role and highlight his conflicts of interest. Now, that prompted Donald Trump to post on Truth Social, "The fake news is at it again. This time, the failing New York Times. They said incorrectly that Elon Musk is going to the Pentagon tomorrow to be briefed on any potential war with China. How ridiculous. China will not even be mentioned or discussed." Seems reasonable, sort of. But wait till you see his follow-up rage-filled post, incited by CNN's coverage of that New York Times story. Now, we're going to show you that explosive rant on Truth on the other side of this clip. It's part pouty POTUS and part full-fledged attack on CNN, and especially, as you'll see, the Times' Maggie Haberman. Trump wants something she's got, and wait till you see what it is. But first, let's see exactly what raked the ire of the lion of the West Palm Beach Lynx. Here's the match that CNN struck under Trump's spikes that incited today's hot-foot can't-miss crazy POTUS post. First from CNN last night.
This is truly extraordinary what the Times is reporting here in this piece. And what it lays out is somebody who has conflicts. He simply does. According to the Times, Mr. Musk and Tesla, an electric vehicle company he controls, are heavily reliant on China, which houses one of the automaker's flagship factories in Shanghai. Last year, the company said in financial filings that it had $2.8 billion in a loan agreement with lenders in China for production expenditures. Congressman Lawler, does this concern you?
Certainly, obviously, any conflicts should be addressed. I think, obviously, through both, SpaceX and Starlink, Elon Musk already has significant security clearances within the United States government, and obviously, as an appointee of President Trump, has additional security clearances. There's no question, obviously, though, that any conflicts should be addressed beforehand. I think from what I saw from the Pentagon, in their statement, they said that this was an invitation by Secretary Hegseth for Elon Musk to come visit with the secretary. They did not provide actual details on what the meeting would be.
But, I mean, are you concerned about the fact that he would be given a briefing about war plans? I mean, these are literally the most sensitive of secrets. And yes,
well, considering that the United States...
Because just because you have a security clearance, as you know, doesn't mean that you have access to everything. Security clearances at the highest level are on a need-to-know basis, documents like this in particular. Yeah. And so the need to know is the question here, and the conflicts on the other side of that ledger, which is someone who has business interests in the relevant country and also has competition interests trying to kick other contractors potentially out of contracts for these very war plans. Is that concerning?
Look, again, any conflicts of interest should be addressed. But in the case of, obviously, Starlink, we see the United States military is utilizing Starlink with respect to military plans. The United States Navy uses it significantly. Obviously, when you're talking about issues pertaining to China and their expansion in the Indo-Pacific, the threats against Taiwan, obviously, these are significant issues. So, look, any conflict should be addressed, no question about that. But it is the secretary and the president that actually have the authority to provide the need to know.
They do, but it doesn't mean that it's wise,
decision.
Congressman.
So notice Congressman Lawler did not answer the yes or no question. Should this be concerning? Yes, absolutely. Elon Musk is trying to be the real-life Tony Stark, and we can see him coming a mile away. We don't trust Elon Musk. That's why the American people are up in arms in protests and in town halls in Republican districts across the country. They are pissed off based on what Donald Trump and Elon Musk are doing, firing tens of thousands of workers only for the courts to reverse the firing. This is absolutely a conflict of interest, but the Trump administration and Elon Musk, they don't care. Elon is trying to be the first trillionaire, and he wants to be an oligarch that not just controls American governments, he wants to control world governments. And Congressman Lawler is not going to criticize him because Elon Musk is a major donor to Congressman Lawler's re-election campaigns, and that's the problem. We don't have Republicans in Congress.
True, Congressman
yes,
Lawler?
it is very true.
He's a major donor to your campaigns?
Not directly.
I just want to make sure.
No, not directly to my campaign. He had a independent expenditure that he spent on dozens of congressional races.
Second biggest recipient of the money after Donald Trump.
We're devolving into this fetish, this cult, this hatred against Elon Musk. I don't know.
It's
but
none of those
Yeah,
things.
yes, it is, though,
Yes, it
because
is.
every single thing about Elon Musk has now resulted in people burning Teslas in major cities.
Hold on a second. This story is not about any of those things. This is actually a basic story about national security.
Right.
About whether or not someone who has the interest in for example, other contractors who have access to Pentagon dollars having access to special information that they don't have and keeping them out of their contracts.
CEOs and executives
And he
at
has business
Raytheon,
with
at
a
Boeing,
government
at
that
Northrop
we have
Grumman
described.
are not involved?
When our defense contractors get these big contracts, they cannot have other contracts with other foreign adversaries. That's a national security issue.
Yeah, understood. However, again, this is someone whose products, his innovations, right, are being used by the American military as we speak. This is someone who the government relied on to rescue 2 astronauts from space because no one else could do it. Maybe I'm the crazy one at the table, but I'm actually comfortable with someone who is incredibly effective at putting small objects and large objects into orbit over China.
Are you comfortable? Are you comfortable with potentially Elon Musk showing these plans or giving intelligence
You're insane.
to
You're just
China?
making that
I'm
up.
not.
You're saying
I am not. I am saying that is why, as Abby was saying, hold on, Abby, this is why Abby was saying it's on a need-to-know basis. It's a need-to-know basis because only a handful of people have this information. Not only that, I was a former Justice Department official up until 2 months ago, and I had a security clearance. What I will tell you is I was.
To my fetish
Can you let the woman at this table, please?
Go ahead. You interrupted me. I was talking here. You interrupted me.
What I will tell
It's a
you is that it is
She's allowed to talk.
the Pentagon. What is happening here, and everyone needs to be scared, is Pentagon officials are sounding the alarm. This doesn't just happen on its own. This has happened because career officials within the Pentagon are terrified, and they believe that there is a conflict of interest. That is why it is in the New York Times, because I am sure they took it to the senior-most people within the White House and within the Pentagon, and they didn't do anything about it. And when people asked me when I left the Justice Department, how do we know that there is something unethical happening here? And I said, it will be the career officials within the Justice Department who will sound the alarm.
Well, and your reigning POTUS had this to say about that. Elon Musk will be briefed by the Pentagon about the USA's top secret plans against China should there be war. According to the failing New York Times, one of the worst and most purposely inaccurate newspapers anywhere in the world, their fake concept for this story is that because Elon does some business in China, that he's very conflicted and would immediately go to top Chinese officials and spill the beans. Ratings challenged fake news. CNN immediately picked up on this absolutely ridiculous and false story, which is probably libelous, and went heavy with it. Fortunately, nobody was watching. Maggie Haberman, the really dumb scammer who constantly writes about me for the Times using anonymous, made-up, non-existent sources, and who I haven't spoken to in ages, is a big part of the scam. She led the Russia hoax, only to realize that she was duped and got it wrong. She owes me a totally discredited Pulitzer Prize for her bad reporting. The fake news is the enemy of the people, and Elon is not being briefed on anything China by the Department of War. Is that so? Because many would say Elon has been a bit of a bull in a china shop so far during his systematic incursion into the hallowed halls of your democracy. Now, with or without his data teen hunger force, Trump's favorite illegal alien is a volatile and unsteady figure, and every single move that he makes that we know about must be reported on. So I don't see Maggie giving him her Pulitzer Prize, but maybe she could offer the King of Queens a Bronx cheer.
You took offense at that?
I certainly did.
Do you know what that sound is? That's a Bronx cheer.
It is?
It's a sign of respect and admiration. You should be very proud.
A Bronx cheer.